Hey, a beautiful good afternoon to you from yours truly one, Mr. Panuka, right here at Panuka Farm. Such a beautiful afternoon right here on the farm. And it's been a while since we came through on our YouTube channel. But yeah, I'm back and I'm back with a bang. Yes, guess you can actually see that Panuka Farm has actually gone bananas, as they say. And we have really gone bananas in its true sense. And where I am here, I'm literally surrounded by bananas everywhere you see. Yeah, hope you're loving what you are seeing in the background. And yeah, I am enjoying myself here at Panuka Farm number 2. It's such a pleasure to bring to you this project that we've been working on for the last almost 2 years. Of course, the greater part of this has been, planning, and of course, getting all the preparations, right for this project. And we're happy to unveil what this looks like currently. And of course, as you will note later, it's actually staggered at different, stages. So obviously, you're asking yourself, why has Panuka Farm gone bananas? We've known Panuka Farm for, sweet peppers, English cucumbers, iceberg lettuce. Well, we always say in African context, never forget your my guru, your first love. Of course, those continue, but then the farm needs to evolve. So in a short while, I will talk about the rationale of why have we gone bananas. So hang in there, and I'll see you on the other side. So, what then is the rationale of why we have actually gone bananas? Yes, you have actually known us for the classical horticulture, products, your sweet peppers, English cucumber, the iceberg lettuce, and many other products that we've actually farmed, over the years. But one of the things that we're actually doing is kind of a portfolio mix. If you've done a course that is called investment analysis and portfolio management, you will actually realize that at some point you really need to make sure that you dilute your portfolio. And of course, this investment asset class, which is called commodities, those ethos and principles of investment analysis and portfolio management also do apply. And what we've actually been doing is to actually shift much more from what I would call short-term horticulture products to actually medium to long-term. And this is one of the projects that we embarked on planning for the last 2 years, and we're happy to actually showcase what we've been able to do the last almost 6-7 months that we actually started to get on the ground and execute. But again, you will note that we are using what we call the arrogance of experience. We've been doing farming for quite a long time, post 10 years, and as such, there's a lot of asset in terms of experience that comes to doing such a project in terms of scale. And as we will indicate later, much as this might look beautiful to you, you need to be sequential and make sure that you don't go about scaling up immediately you start, because we have gone through quite a lot to get to this stage. So first thing on rationale, why did we go bananas? It's just simply to dilute our portfolio, and it's been one of the most beautiful projects that we've ever done. And it's beautiful from the sense that it comes with a lot of experience, given that we've been farming for quite a long time. Farming can be very tough. One, resources wise, is a guzzler. But then if you combine the resource constraint with not having the right knowledge, that becomes unfortunately quite a big bombshell. So point number one, the rationale, this is why we've actually gone in this. It's actually just diluting our portfolio. So next up, obviously, you want to know, what has the journey been? How did we go about doing that? And in a short moment, I will begin to unpack exactly how the journey has been. We commenced this project in terms of actually getting on the ground around December 2024. I think we planted our first, bananas, the bigger ones on the other side. Of course, this project is segmented into about 8 parts, and was actually meant to be implemented over a period of, say, 2 years. But like they say, sometimes you actually have to seize, some opportunities. Around January, February, we had quite a lot of very good rains in Zambia. And that meant that we actually had to seize the opportunity and then increase, the scale of, this project. But when we started, this place was actually quite heavily, forested. And so there was quite a lot of land, clearing that needed to be done. And after that, actually before that, I must actually indicate that that was quite a huge cost to get this land ready, given that we had quite a lot of, ant hills in the process here that needed to be cleared. Make sure that it's actually flat enough. And then from there, we obviously moved on to look at, pegging the area, making sure that the lines, the spacing is correct. So in this field, we actually adopted spacing of 3 meters by 1.5. So we have a spacing of 3 meters by 1.5. So that has actually played out, very well, as it enables us to just do lots of things, irrigation and the rest of the other, management pretty well. But I'm aware that there's actually other regimes when it actually comes to the issue of, spacing. But so far, it's been a game changer for us, and I think it's enabling us to really do, our work with ease. So in terms of sections, you will actually note that we've got that, first block there. And those are the bigger, bananas that we've got. That's first, block. And then when we move the other side, we've got, the second block, which is, block 2. And then from there, we've got block 3, just right next to me here. And then from block 3, we come to block 4, which is right here. And then from block 4, we have block 5 in that corner there. Yeah. And then from block 5, we come to block, 6, which is right here. So far, we've done like 6 blocks that are staggered. And that's how you actually want to do your production. So far, I think things are going on very well. We're loving how the project is actually, coming up. But has this been smooth sailing so far? I know when you actually look at something like that, it's actually quite energizing, and you feel like jumping on it and doing this at scale like this. But the first thing that I'll actually, talk about is the issue of just land preparation. Land preparation takes quite a while, and it also costs quite a lot of money to get it right, flattening. Like I earlier indicated, we had quite some number of ant hills in here that needed to be flattened. And then at some point, we actually had a situation where a lot of rain was actually coming through the fields. And that actually meant that we dig these trenches that you see here, which are also, going on the other side for passage of water. So that is very, very critical. So you can actually see this, trench is actually going in that direction. This was actually to carry quite a lot of water out of, the fields. So again, this is the cost that actually comes with initiating projects of this nature. So that's point number 1, the land preparation, getting the holes right and everything else. Then point number 2 is that you actually need to do quite a lot of consultations. Bring in real experts, not what are called quacks. Make sure you bring in real experts to help you in terms of planning so that you get it right and it actually looks this beautiful. So much as we've actually been farming for quite some time, but we can't claim the monopoly of knowledge. So there was quite a lot of consultation in terms of how to get it, right. And of course, those, consultations continue to date. Just last week, we had another expert that came through. At every stage, we make sure that the expert comes through and advises, on how not to do banana farming, how to get it right. We get the thumbs up. Yeah. So number 2 issue is consult and consult the right people, not quacks as they call it. make sure that you do quite some very good, validation of who is the real expert, and you also need to understand their expertise. What is the scale that they have actually worked with? Because sometimes, expertise at a very micro level, sometimes it's very difficult when you're actually looking at something at scale, such as what we have right here. Now, other than the second issue on that, the third issue, which probably should have actually been the first issue, is around water. You need to make sure that you get it right on water. With the issue of water, you need to make sure that you also get it right in terms of irrigation. You can actually see right now our bananas are getting irrigated. We run on solar. Right now we have a slight, cloud cover, but you can actually see, this is working. So this is how the skies are, a bit, covered, but then the irrigation still, continues, and you can actually see that the irrigation is ongoing and going on pretty well. So this is something that you actually need to get it right, and make sure that other than just the boreholes, it's the actual irrigation, setup that is very key. So this is what we're actually using for irrigation. There's many other forms. I know others use the likes of drip, but I think this has worked exceptionally well for us. So all these are some of the things that you actually need to make sure that you consult the right people, so that you get it right, and have something as beautiful as what you can actually see right in front of you. The next issue that you actually need to get it right is around what kind of variety are you actually going to plant. 95% of what we have here is Grand 9. But on the other side, if I just turn around somewhere here, we've got a bit of sweet William. And when we actually do the expansion on the other end, we'll also be looking at bringing in quite a lot of sweet William. But eventually, we'll still have like 70% Grand 9, and then 30% sweet William. So again, get it right. But other than just the variety, it's a question of are you using suckers or using tissue culture? In our case, we actually used tissue culture, and so far you can actually see it hasn't disappointed. And why did we go for tissue culture? It's from a perspective of managing potential diseases that come with some of the suckers where you've not done some thorough due diligence on where they're coming from. Are they diseased in terms of the mother plants and all that? So we wanted to actually make sure that we manage potential disease risks by going for tissue culture. We had to actually import kind of 90% of what we have from South Africa, and then I think 10% so far the sweet William originated from Israel through a company called Amiran, a household banana sucker supplier in Zambia. So make sure that you are also involving the right suppliers that are vetted, who've been in the game for a long time, and make sure that you do not inherit problems. So that is the next big lesson. So I talked about getting it right on water, very key, because these plants are guzzlers of water. Irrigation, I talked about land preparation, making sure that you consult the right experts, not quacks like I said, and of course your sourcing of seedlings. But then the last point is one which is extremely very critical, and that is staffing. Now guys, to pull a project of this nature, you need to make sure that you've got the right team on the ground. Like we say, even in our course on farming as a business blueprint, which you can find on Panuka, AgriBiz Hub, which you can download on Play Store. When it comes to labor, it doesn't matter how much money you've got. or your intellectual expertise or how beautiful your equipment is, whether it's irrigation equipment and all that, if you don't have the right team on the ground, the project is actually bound to fail. We have over 15 different videos on how to get it right on labor on our course, Farming as a Business Blueprint, which, like I said, you can find on Play Store, on Panuka AgriBiz, app. So to pull a project of this nature, guys, you need to make sure that you've got the right, team that pulls in the same direction as you. That is very, very critical. So before you go about putting a project of this nature, make sure that you've got the right team. Otherwise, this can actually potentially become a white, elephant. So take note of that. Now, lastly, they say a fish rots from the head. What it actually entails is that leadership is very key in managing a project of this nature. And for me, as the farm owner, as the project, sponsor, I need to be the right boss, because all the other factors of production, land, labor, and capital are actually dependent on the agripreneur to manage. And so if you're not bringing much to the table, unfortunately, that fish is going to rot. And so it's actually, a very huge responsibility on me as a farm owner to make sure a project of this nature, comes out right. And these are some of the ethos that we actually teach on our courses, and the value proposition of what you get in our courses is what you actually see in the actual projects that we actually start from zero to hero, if you like. So that is our value proposition, and we strongly encourage that you enroll on our different courses. I think so far we've got 4 excellent courses on Panuka AgriBiz Hub, and that just costs you around $30 to about $45 per course, but you have over 40, 50, 60 videos depending on the course that has quite a lot of juice on how to get it right on projects of this nature. And the beauty is that we are your fellow farmers, and here is our value proposition of what we actually do on the ground. And so all the courses are actually sanitized from all manner of lullabies, and we give you nuggets that we actually use in our projects to get it right, as you can see in the background. So yeah, that's part of the value proposition that you get, and make sure that you go and enroll in those courses. Our latest is the course on farming as a business, blueprint. But we've got a course on fundraising, we've got a course on risk management, accounting and finance. Remember, as they say, for projects of this nature, you can't manage them if you can't measure it. So simply put, you can't manage what you can't measure. So tracking costs, managers, expectations in terms of scale, because sometimes if you actually go and do something this humongous at a go without really introspecting on the kind of costs, unfortunately, that project is going to be a huge white elephant, a tall order, for you. Very, very costly, project, I must say. But the future looks good. Yeah. So if you want to know how we get to do this in practice, remember to enroll in the various courses that we have on Panuka AgriBiz Hub. And remember, there's also a book that I have authored, which is called Farming as a Business, a handbook for first-time farmers in developing countries. Quite a very juicy piece, and I poured in quite a lot to put that course together. So I extremely implore you to grab a copy of that book. Guys, this has been yours truly, one Mr. Panuka, Bruno Mwemba, from Panuka Farm right here in Zambia. And yeah, time to go. I'll see you on another one. And please don't forget to enroll on our courses and get to dine into these juicy, juicy tidbits on agripreneurship. Have a lovely one.